What's up, everybody? John Charmijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the new album from the band Krallice, entitled Cathexis. This is released on Hathenter. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of New York City, New York, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very traditional, experimental, avant-garde hybrid of both black metal and death metal. Yeah. When it comes to extreme metal, you always have to listen to bands. You always run into bands that have such a very recognizable, distinguishable, and sound. When you hear them, you know that it's them. And I think Krallice are a perfect example of one of those bands that have such a very recognizable and distinct sound that you know you're going to be in for something very special. This band has been incredibly consistent throughout the course of their existence with their full-length materials, their EPs, their live performances, just overall being very awesome and very, very consistent. I mean, this band had some great black metal edge and influences on their first several releases, but then as later years began to develop, so did this band's sound, and so did their overall transformation into being something completely different. Whereas albums like their self-titled, Dimensional Bleed Through, and Diadema had that genuine black metal sort of sound, later stuff like Years Past Matter and Eeg Her showcased them transitioning into more progressive, technical, almost death metal influenced sort of sounds. And of course, this band always loves to drop the bomb on you when you least expect it. I mean, releases that come out that you don't even know happened but are being released. I mean, like the Hyperion and Prelapsarian releases, just absolutely phenomenal. And then the 1-2 punch of Loam and Go Be Forgotten. Those albums are all amazing and incredible. The last time we had heard something from Krallice was in the form of their Wolf EP. Pretty much continuing on in the same sorts of sounds and ideals that you heard on previous Krallice releases. And of course, that particular EP got put together with an EP of another Krallice-affiliated band with the Estomatus EP from Gurion, which is the bass and drum project of Lev Weinstein and Nick McMaster of Krallice. But now, Krallice, doing what they know how to do best, is just dropping something completely surprising out of left field with Cathexis. If I'm not mistaken, this is their 8th full-length album? 8th full-length? 9th full-length? This band is so ridiculously consistent, it's hard to keep up with, but for all intents and purposes, I'm going to say this is their 8th full-length album. It's 9 tracks, and it clocks in at around 40 minutes in length, and pretty much, listening to this album, it's just Krallice business as usual. I mean, Mick Barr, Colin Marston, Lev Weinstein, Nicholas McMaster, the same 4 people that have been involved with Krallice since the very get-go, once again, playing their music, doing what they know how to do so well and so splendidly. It is just insane. Oh my goodness. This is such a killer Krallice record. I definitely think it's one of the best Krallice records I've heard this band do in a very long time. But with this album, I feel as if they are reaching into their influence bag and pulling out all the stops of what makes this band sound so special and so riveting. And one thing to really notice about Krallice right away when you listen to them is how good this band is musically and tight-knit. I mean, the riffs are just so phenomenal. From the minute you hear it on Feed on the Blood of Rats to later tracks like The Wheel, The Myth, the title track, and then the closer of All and Nothing, you just know that you're going to be in for some incredibly tight-knit guitar playing. I mean, what is there to say about Mick Barr and Colin Marston that hasn't already been said by many other people in the past? These guys are just so freaking good at playing their guitars, doing their riffs, and just absolutely executing things so perfectly. Every riff, every technical aspect of the guitar is just played so wonderfully. I love how everything sounds. I love how everything is delivered. You definitely get that black and death metal edge sort of thing going on here. And even towards later moments in this album where things begin to get a little bit more spacey and odd and weird, that's just how Krallice does business, and I think they do this business so wonderfully good here. The bass tones on here are phenomenal. I mean, Nicholas is such an amazing bass player. He plays everything so good. You hear everything so clean, so perfect. It's not clean to the point where it's distracting. I definitely feel that the enhanced sound of the bass makes things all the more energetic and adds to this album's overall vibe and flow. I love this bass sound. I love this bass tone, and I love this energy being executed throughout here. When it comes to the drumming, of course, Lev is the heartbeat of Krallice. He is such a phenomenal drummer. He does some phenomenal blast beats, some phenomenal energy, great fills, just a great, compact, action-packed sort of drum performance going on here, especially when it comes to the lengthier moments of this album, like once again going to Feed on the Blood of Rats. Aspirants is another really great example, and of course the title track. Just some great stamina going on here from Lev. He is a great drummer. Not only is he a great drummer, but he's also a great drummer live too. He can absolutely execute a lot of the stuff that he plays on record in a live format too. And he just continues to be better and better and greater as time goes along. Holy shit, this guy can drum his ass off. And when it comes to the vocals, it's the typical Krallice vocal delivery. You have Mick Barr doing his traditional sort of shrieky, wailing sort of highs, and then Nick McMaster doing his really gravelly sounding low vocals. Both are very recognizable vocalists and deliver something very, very special here. And I believe Dave Edwardson, who did work on Loam, appears on here too, and he has a very distinctive and solid performance to be heard throughout this record here. But the main story of Cathexis' vocals to me are definitely the interplay between Mick Barr and Nick McMaster. Just them sounding so good and so powerful and commanding your attention with every single song that's on here. It's just really, really fantastic to listen to, and hearing these guys be phenomenal vocalists is just insane stuff. I mean, these guys, all four of these guys, and of course you got to throw in Dave Edwardson too, just gelling together so well and so perfectly, makes for a phenomenal listening experience. So overall, this is definitely one of the best later Krallice records I've heard in recent memory. If you're a fan of this band's experimental sound and style, I think you're going to have a great time listening to this particular full-length album. This is Krallice doing the things they know how to do, and do them so well and so wonderfully. So if I had to think of any personal favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Feed on the Blood of Rats, The Wheel, The Myth, the two-part track, The Form and the Formed, is really awesome too. And of course, the closing track with All and Nothing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you some links in the description box as to how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will leave you a link to the Krallice Bandcamp page. You can listen to this album in its entirety, hear it for yourself, and be your own judge as to whether you think it's worthy of being purchased or not. You can stream it by digitally, and to the best of my knowledge, it is available physically as a CD and tape through the band. Gilead Media is doing the vinyl version of this album, and of course, keep an eye and ear out for when that will be soon to be available from both the label and or the band. So again, the album is Cathexis by Krallice. This is released on CD and tape through Hathenter. Definitely check this one out. And for a score, I'm going to give this a very strong 9 out of 10. Definitely one of the best Krallice records in recent memory, along with an already consistent and wonderful discography. So if you happen to have heard this album, definitely let me know what you think about it, how you feel about it, and how you think it compares to previous Krallice releases. Are any of you guys into Krallice? Definitely let me know. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. Until the next time, Armijo out.